Hi everyone, Greg here, and today we'll look at the Engineering, Design, and Construction Manual, which is used by consultants in some councils in Victoria to design on site detention and estimate runoff using the rational method. So we'll focus on the runoff coefficient today. The method used is similar to the AR&R and Queensland Urban Drainage Manual, where you're estimating at C-10 and so on. This manual further simplifies it. It applies a single C-10 value for each region. So if I'm designing for this area, I have one value here. Um, One thing to note is that the C-10 value here is kind of an average or homogeneous value for the entire region. We know that C-10 is impacted by the intensity, so every lat long will have a different intensity. If we look at Cardinia, Gembrook versus Cranbourne, Casey, for example, there's a distance between here and the the intensity values actually differ. So how much of a difference does this make in calculations? That's what we'll look at today. So going back, we've set up an Excel sheet based on the guidelines here. We'll look at the case of zero point 0.2. So for a more pervious catchment, chuck in the actual values in and compare it. You'll see that these values match closer towards the Cardinia. There's a smaller difference here compared to the one in KC. So it seems like for a more pervious catchment, the values differ more than a impervious catchment here. So zero point 0.9, if we look at zero point 0.9, they're actually quite close, KC, Cardinia, and the document here. So actual values versus the document values. So it seems like these values are more suited for impervious areas, and there's a slight difference when you go down to pervious areas. Now, it's up to the engineer to then decide whether these differences have a material impact on your runoff estimation, your on-site detention storage calculation, and your PSD calculations. Um, Now, looking back, how do we get an OSD calculation for the site? Let's go to KC, click on the OSD calculator. And depending on the method used, for example, in Victoria, if you're using Swinburne, OSD4W for KC, council might have given you the parameters here. And now I just chuck in the runoff coefficients based on this document. So if I have a existing green field, I might go with a runoff coefficient based on a fraction impervious of, let's say, zero point 0.2. So for 10% AAP, I'm going to go 0.272. 0.272, and then I just change my AAP here to the 10%. So something like that. That's how you can apply those runoff coefficients in your OSD calculation in this council. So there you have it. Till next time.